So one of the worst things that we can do as business owners heading into the new year is to do what everybody else is doing, which means waiting for 2024 to hit. Waiting for like things to happen here where the video is on Teresa and in reality it should be on Mark. That's my bad. But one of the worst things that we can do is put ourselves in the same situations that we've been year again. And that is like waiting for the rest of the world to tell it's okay to start putting together our business plan, to start posting on social media, to start learning a new skill, to start taking action. And what we do is we give up the most prime real estate in the world. Many people have wondered why the last 2 to 3 weeks of December are always my best weeks in business. Literally, I make more in those 2 or 3 weeks than sometimes 2 or 3 months combined. And the reason why is because I look at things way differently than the rest of the world. As modern leaders and as modern entrepreneurs, we need to see things differently. So today, we are going to talk about not only the best time to get started, which was today or is today, and to lean into some different, not only skills, but different ways that we can elevate ourselves and take action now so that we can get results come January instead of getting started then, but also 3 things that we can do right now to get started. And that is what we are here to help you with. We want to help build up a massive amount of momentum so that you can crush 2024. And the best time to do that is to start right now. So if you're ready to do that with us, I can't wait to jump into it. Let's go. It's time to redefine leadership. Welcome to Modern Leadership, where we see things differently. Our channel is all about empowering entrepreneurs like you to achieve the next level of success in business and life. We believe that you can create a massive impact in the world without compromising your personal life or family time to do so.
We're committed to providing you with actionable tips and strategies weekly to make that possible. So if you're ready to become a modern leader and make a lasting difference in the world, consider subscribing. Turn on notifications and dive into our community. We want to thank you for being here because the world needs your leadership now more than ever. Let's go.
What's up, everybody? I'm here with my beautiful co-host, Teresa, and we are going to dive into 3 things you can do right now so that you can crush 2024. Now, we're going to dive into 3 things that most people do, most business owners do. And one of the things I really want to make sure that we nail down, yes, we kind of have talked about it already, but it's the power of taking action now. And when you go out there and when you create that momentum, you get to experience the results of your momentum in January, and you don't have to wait until February or March, which is what most of the rest of the world does. How many times have you heard or personally said, because I know I've personally said this, that in January you're going to create a new goal? In January, you're going to get started. In January, you're going to pick up a new book. In January, you're going to join a new team. In January, you're going to be a part of a mastermind. You're going to get a mentor. You're going to do all of these great things. And you give up all of the time and space between right now and then, which is really where you build massive influence. Most people, when they are ready to take action in January, which is when the rest of the world are, if you're just getting ready to start taking action with them, you're not going to be their people. You're going to have given up the best opportunity to actually plant the seeds in December to get them to go, you know what, this person was here in December, and this is the person that I want to lean into. And if you take the strategies we're going to talk about here today, I guarantee you're going to have better results than you've ever had in the new year, because you're not going to wait to the rest of the world until January to make that happen. You're going to get started right now. Okay. So there's 3 things that we really want to talk about. All right. The first one is the first thing that we see people do. And this is they wait to take action. They wait to take action. So they wait until January 1st. They wait until the holidays are over. They wait until things slow down. They wait until they're not eating so much food, right? They wait until their family, their kids go back to school. They wait until they have to go back to work. They wait until wait. And like we always say, the perfect time to take action was yesterday. The second perfect time is today. And if we're constantly waiting for that to happen, what's going to happen when January gets here? We're going to be fitting and blending into the crowd. Now, I got to tell you, as a business owner, our job is to stand out among the crowd, is to be there, not just when things are easy, not just when everything works out, not just when the kids are back in school, not just when there's no holidays, but despite those, still showing up. Now, I'm not saying that you should hustle your face off. You know, on this channel, we're all about like creating massive success in your business while also creating incredible connections at home. So I don't want to say that you're going to sacrifice one of those things, because a lot of times that's what we tend to think, is that we have to sacrifice that. I want you to think smarter. I want you to think differently. And I want you to elevate what it is that, like, your solutions to that, because there's so many infinite number of solutions to doing this, as long as you're willing to get started now. So what do you do instead? That means you get started taking action now. You ask yourself, what is a plan? What are the strategies that I'm going to implement? And how could I do that right now? And as a matter of fact, because I'm doing this right now, how is this going to prove to the rest of the world that when January comes around, I am their person? I'm not just starting with them. I've started before them. I've gotten through the hard times. And that has literally made me the type of person that literally can get them to help inspire them, to help motivate them, because you're modeling the behavior for them. So when the rest of the world is not taking action because there's just not the perfect time right now, I want you to tap in. I want you to lean in and go, you know what? This is the greatest opportunity that I have if I'm willing to lean in and to take action. There's no perfect time. And if I have to say, if there's a perfect time, it would be right now, right? Not in January, not when the rest of the world says it's time to set goals, but when we make a decision. And I can't tell you the kind of energy that leads with, and also allows you to excel when it comes to creating an amazing connection at home, because you're laser focused on what is most important and meaningful to you. So that is the first thing. Take action now. Teresa, anything on that?
No, but it's a great way to segue into the next thing, because we're still talking about waiting, about not to wait, right? So you don't want to wait to start learning. You don't want to wait to start learning. So sometimes we will think, okay, well, I have to learn a new skill, learn some new type of strategy, and I'm going to wait until January to do that. But if you start doing that, or if you start in January, you're going to be behind, really, because it means that you don't get to use that skill until months later, which is going to get you into February, March, April, right? Because it's not like we learn a skill or we learn a strategy and we can implement it right now, right? There's a learning curve. So think about it that way. If you start in January, you can't implement any of those things until much later. So then you can't take the full year to actually start working on your business or whatever it is that you're trying to work on. And you're not giving yourself a runway. You're not giving yourself enough of a runway to actually create that momentum, right? So it's such a valuable opportunity to start right now, either to find that skill or find that strategy that you need to learn and start diving into it right now. And like Mark said, we're not saying that you need to hustle your face off right now, because we're not like that. We want to enjoy the holidays. We want to enjoy our kids being home, and we want to have that time off, but we can still incorporate parts of the business, because we're still going to be working. It's just not going to be to the level that we do when it's in other times of the year. But if you take a little bit of time to start working on that skill that you're looking to improve on, you can do that in little bits and pieces. And it doesn't have to take away from your family. It doesn't have to take away from you taking some time to relax and enjoy the holidays. And I think that if we start in January and sometimes February, because we know that we'll just have another excuse. Oh, the kids started school again, and it's just back to the grind, right? It's back to all of the stuff, all of like the busyness. And then you start to postpone. So do it now, because that will just get you to not only find exactly what it is that you want to learn, but it's just going to give you that runway that is so important to have.
I love that. I love that. And I love that idea of like the runway. So think about this like as an analogy. In order for a plane to take off, it can't just immediately take off. It's not like a helicopter. It literally needs a runway so it can build up speed. In the beginning, it takes off kind of slow. It kind of like, it's like all full force going forward, but it's kind of like just moving a little bit. And then it picks up steam, and then it picks up steam, and then it takes off, right? And I feel like some people think that their airplane is like like just going to fly up into the air on January 1st. Like once they make a decision on what actions to take and what skills to learn, and they're behind the curve because now they have to kind of catch up. They have to make sure that they have that runway. And they're like, well, I'm not seeing success. Like what's going on? And this is why so many people like quit. Number one is because they think that they have to wait until January 1st to set a goal or to get started or to learn a new skill or whatever. Like it's January 1st is just like December 9th, guys. It's just a date on the calendar. It doesn't have any, like we emotionally attach to it for some reason because it's the beginning of a new year, new year, new me. Then why wouldn't we want to start right now? I know Danielle called out to this. Danielle's she's a part of our 75 Hard. I started the 75 Hard with our team, not because I wanted to wait until January 1st. I'm like, we're starting it now because I want to get through the holidays and be even more like energized, be even more in better shape and feel even better about developing mental toughness. I don't want to wait until January 1st to do that. It's like, why would I want to do that when I can experience that right now? So in January 1st, when everybody else is like, hey, I'm starting the 75 Hard, I'm like, yeah, I'm on day 38 or something right now. I'm like already halfway done the program because I'm willing to like think of things differently. I'm willing to see when everybody zigs and I zag, right? Like they say, if you want something different, you have to do something different. And if you've found yourself waiting to take action or waiting to learn a new skill until that new year or until that next thing happens, like you're behind the curve. And then when you get there and it's like this huge letdown because you feel like you haven't had that time of being able to go down the runway and take off, it doesn't have anything to do about you and your potential. It has everything to do about when you started, right? That's why we really want to make sure that you follow those first two things, which is start taking action now and start learning that next lesson now, all right? If you kind of hear the theme is like right now. This is your greatest opportunity. And I don't care if you haven't done anything before today. It is irrelevant for you to beat yourself up if you haven't done anything up until today for the whole year. Or if you've fallen off or whatever, this is not a time to feel sorry for yourself. This is a time to go, I'm going to crush 2024 and I'm going to start right now with wherever I am. You're not restarting. You're not behind. You're not any of these other BS that your head is trying to tell you. You are exactly where you need to be. And it's time to take that next step. And we want to help you do that, which is why we put together this training, right? So those are the first two parts, is getting yourself to take action and getting yourself to learn that new skill. Now, the third thing that we do, that I see a lot of people do, is they wait to find a team or mentor to run with until the new year. So thinking about like, man, how do I have the time? I don't have the energy. I don't have the money. I don't have all of these things. I got like Christmas gifts. All of these things prevent us from actually finding the team, the group, the mentor, the book, the podcast, the thing that is going to help us bridge the gap on those actions and on those skills and hold us accountable to the things that we want to actually achieve. Most people will wait for that. They will put it off, including me, where I like literally talked myself out of life coaching for 3 years. And after 3 years signing up, because of how expensive it was $20,000 to learn how to become a life coach. And 42 days after I graduated, I'd already paid that amount of money back. And now every time that I work as a life coach, I have the ability of making more money beyond that. But I had held myself back for so long because I thought I needed a perfect time. I thought that I needed all the stars to align. And it was just me making a decision and then following it through, taking action, finding that mentor, finding that skill, and taking the action right then. And that's what it's really all about. So finding a way to connect with the right people right now. I don't mean that you find people that you want to pull. I mean you find people that you want to run with, that are willing to like run with you. I was thinking about this analogy a little earlier. Like when I go out with my puppy, okay, and we want to go run, I can't necessarily run my fastest speed. I have to slow down because he's kind of connected to me. And sometimes we that's what we do, is we like surround ourselves and find people who actually slow us down. And in reality, we want them to run with us, but we have to slow down in order to keep the leash from like really tugging on us, right? And when it does, when I do get ahead, I do get tugged back towards him rather than him getting tugged towards me. He's the one who's pulling me back. So how many times have we tried to force people to run with us? They've told us they've wanted to run. They said that they are like wanting to have the energy and they're going to show up and they're going to take all this action, and they never do it, but we don't let go of the leash. We keep holding on to it. And then we wonder why we're in the same exact spot. And it's because we haven't gone out and found people who are not only willing to say they're willing to run, but they are all in and they're taking the action to run. And when you're around a group of people like that, I got someone in Kurt that I can literally message back and forth, and you have somebody who's running with you. I got to tell you, it is an incredible experience because it doesn't feel like you're by yourself. It feels like you're running and you guys are just racing and sprinting and seeing who can run in front of the next person. And it's just an incredible thing because you're not holding yourself back. You're reaching your full potential. And sometimes I feel like because he's ahead of me or I'm ahead of him, we push each other to even get faster. You know that 1% that's inside of you that's like, I can go a little further? Well, you can't do that if you're pulling people. And that's why making sure you're in this environment, you're in an environment where you have that mentor, you have what we're going to talk about in a second, the 3 levels of reach, and you're making sure you're running with the right people will get you to propel you exponentially forward. So when January hits, you're already going to be there. You don't have to wait 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. You don't have to wait until your skill kicks in April. You literally get to experience it in January. And this is what people who really have massive success in business, you will see they don't start on January 1st. They start as soon as they possibly can, because every day they start before January 1st is another step they have above everybody else on the planet. And I got to tell you, like, being ahead always makes me feel good. Even though I am only on my own race, I'm racing against myself. I realize how much more growth I experience because I started now versus starting on January 1st, right? And if you can't tell, we're kind of a little bit passionate about this because we hear it a lot. We've coached thousands of people, tons of entrepreneurs, and I can't tell you how many people come up with either things that are coming up in their life, difficulties and struggles, and I do acknowledge and appreciate them for that because it is hard stuff, but this is not easy. If this was easy, everybody would have success and it wouldn't give us the ability of doing the things that we're capable of now. It's hard for a reason. It's basically there to weed out the people who aren't willing to build the mental toughness to actually go out there and to impact people's lives, because that's what I really feel leadership is about. That's why I talk about leadership here and why entrepreneurs are leaders. Because entrepreneurs are willing to do the difficult things, not when everything's easy and handed to them, but they create something from something that is out of existence. They put something out into the world and they're like, this is going to make an impact for the people in the world. If that's not a leader, I don't know what is, but entrepreneurs are willing to fight that fight. They're willing to have nobody show up on their webinars, make 2 sales in the first year and figure out what they can do to make an adjustment. But they're also willing to have those difficult conversations where it's like, I need to step up. I need to put myself in this environment and I need to get myself to take this next step. Now, there is one caveat. I kind of had talked about this on a bunch of different calls, but this is something that I just talked about when it comes to the 3 levels of reach, right? So we talked about the first piece, getting to take action. The second piece is learning a new skill. And the third piece is finding a group or a team to run with, all right? Now, there is a caveat here because not just finding any random person on social media or on your current team or anybody else who's your family or a friend that's close to you is not going to be the best use of your resources. You have to make sure you follow what's called the 3 levels of reach, all right? And I want to break this down for you because I really want you to see the difference between each of these 3 levels, but also how I see people messing up every single one of these levels so you can become aware of it and you not allow it to happen to you, okay? Now, as a leader, it is important for us to reach into 3 different areas or directions when it comes to the leadership role that we're in, all right? And as an entrepreneur, you are 1000% a leader. That's literally what you're doing out there. You're creating a way, paving a way for people and getting them to get onto your back so you can help guide them through the process and help them achieve results like you have achieved, right? Now, there's 3 levels of this reach, and this was taught to me by my mentor, Josh Coates, who really has opened my eyes to this and how I thought I was using the 3 levels of reach and how I wasn't. The first level is to reach down. Now, when I say reaching down, I don't mean down to a different level, like a different level of a human. We're all human. We all have the same worth. We are all the same. It's just we're different levels currently of our growth. Meaning the level of $1 million business owner who has $1 million business, he has a certain level of growth that actually is required in order for him to be able to achieve those results. Somebody who doesn't has a different level of results or a different level of growth. And it's the same thing with health and fitness. Somebody who is really focusing on becoming healthier, like I was 100 pounds overweight, I was at a different level of growth than I am now, having lost 100 pounds and now just becoming the type of person that could, not have to worry about losing weight anymore. And so when we think about reaching down, it's about helping and leading others. It's about pulling people up to your level of growth. Now, here's the one caveat as entrepreneurs and leaders that we don't realize is so many times we think that that's the only level that we have to reach down to. All right, that's the only level that we have to reach to. If you're reaching down 95 to 97% of the time, and you're, like Jim Rohn says, the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, do you think you're being lifted up to them, or you think you're being lifted down? And the answer is, it's like I'm going on a run with Rocket, I'm being held down. And when you get held down, you don't realize it, but you start to take on some of the beliefs, some of the actions, some of the thoughts, and it starts to feel like, oh man, I feel like I'm getting drugged down, because you literally are. But you're also feeling that energy, because energy and thoughts and stories and mindset is contagious. And if all you're doing is reaching down, I love you so much because you're trying to help people, but you're not really helping them to your full capacity. Because when you reach down, you get brought down more than you get to bring them up, which is why there's 2 other levels of reach, right? The second level is to reach out. These are people who are on a similar or current, around the same time level of growth as you. They may be a few steps ahead in a different area. They may have different strengths. You might have different weaknesses, which is great because you can work together. But the power of this is accountability, is being able to share things with them that maybe you can't share with anyone else. Like, you probably don't want to have a session with when you're reaching down to somebody to let them know about how like terrible are the people are that they're following, or how the situation of your life right now is kind of like falling apart. You probably don't want to have a conversation with somebody you're trying to lift up, right? Instead, we have to find a place where you can actually reach out. And these are people who are going to hold you accountable. They want to know what your goals are. They're going to ask you some really great, powerful questions. At least they are if they're powerful coaches like our team, and really make sure that they are there to help push you along the way and to be that resource to, whether it's come up with new ideas, have thoughts with each other, and really just be there to help support each other. Now, a lot of people now think that they reach only those 2 levels. And if they do, they're missing one important, vital level, and that is to reach up, okay? Now, reaching up is reaching up to a mentor. It's somebody who's a few steps ahead of you. It's somebody who could give you advice because they've been down the path. This is incredibly important, and I'll talk about this in a second, but sometimes we think that the people who we reach out to are the ones that we're reaching up to. If you're doing that, you're basically getting advice from somebody who doesn't know what it takes to get there. If they're there already and giving you advice, they know because they've experienced it. But if they're mentoring you and they haven't had any true, actually experience in that area, it could very easily throw you off because they're not coming in from a place of knowing, like, I'm here and I know what it is to achieve this. It's kind of like those people who are like the weight loss coaches who are severely overweight and they're trying to tell you the things that you need to do. How consistent are we going to be with that when we know that the person that we're following is at the same level or lower level than us? This is really why that law of the lid is so important. It's because you need to realize that there's people who are above you in a certain level, in a certain area of your life that you want to be able to grow to. And maybe it's not in health and fitness. Maybe you're maybe it's something related to business, right? Whatever that area is, you have to ask yourself, who's a mentor? Who's somebody who's a few steps ahead of me who can help pull me up? And this is also the person that's going to call you out when you need to be called out. If you're in an accountability team, I love the accountability teams that I'm a part of, but they're not willing to tell me when I need to push harder. They're not willing to say, Mark, I saw that and it was good, but you got a little bit more inside of you. I know that you have much more potential than that. Why are you living small? And it's hard to do that to people that you're reaching out to. That's why having a mentor, somebody who can pull you up, push you a little bit, get you a little bit uncomfortable, is so vital and important. So these are the 3 levels of reach. So when I say you surround yourself with a group of people, you need to make sure that you have all 3 levels. Now, how can people mess up the 3 levels of reach? I want to break this down because this is something that Josh doesn't really talk about, but I think about a lot because I've seen people mess up every single one of these levels, and it's in a way that people don't really think about, and I want to bring some awareness to it today, right? So let's start off by talking about reaching down. Sometimes you're reaching down to the wrong people. Let's think about that for a second. If you're reaching down to somebody who doesn't want your support, doesn't want your help, is not willing to pay you money, is not willing to get coached from you, how would reaching out to more of those people help you? The answer is it doesn't. And unless you have somebody that can guide you towards that path of how do you know you're reaching out down to the right people? You're going to continue reaching down, thinking you're just reaching down to everyone. And the answer is you don't reach down to everyone. If you try to reach down to everyone, you'll pull up no one. It's like trying to lift up the weight of the world with your one arm. You have to reach out to very specific people and make sure that you're reaching out or not reaching down to the wrong ones. Because if you're reaching down to the wrong ones, it doesn't matter how long, how great you are at whatever your business is. If you're reaching down to people, if you're trying to sell like ice to an Eskimo, it doesn't matter how good your sales skills are. You ain't going to be able to do it. All right. And so when we think about like reaching down, I want you to ask yourself, am I reaching down to the right people? And if not, how can you figure that out? Second part is sometimes I find that we're reaching out to the wrong people. We are connecting with people who are struggling with the same thing we're struggling with. We have somebody, and this is something that I've seen happen over and over again. If you're struggling with consistency, you're struggling with making sales, you're struggling with, the strategies and stuff that you have in your business. And then you team up with other people who are struggling with those strategies, and you're like, hey, let's hold each other accountable to consistency. And nobody in the group is actually consistent and be able to help guide you through that process. It's kind of like it's like the blind leading the blind. And it's not because there's anything wrong with you guys. It's just you need to find other people who have different strengths than you and also other people who have different weaknesses than you. So you can literally help not only each other accountable, but also give each other ideas and also make sure that you're running with the right people. I kind of said this in the beginning. I can't tell you how many times that I wanted to run, and my version of run was like, oh, I got to find somebody on my team to run with. Oh, I got to find somebody that is already one of my clients to run with. And it like literally kept me trapped because that is not true. You do not have to find somebody on your team to run with. As a matter of fact, that usually slows you down more than it causes you to run faster. Instead, you have to ask yourself, how can I find somebody that's willing to run, even if it's like in an atmosphere outside of where I currently am right now? Even if it's somebody outside of my team, even if it's somebody who's not connected to me right now, how can I find somebody who's going to be willing to run just as fast as I am so we can literally run faster together and help push each other along that path? This is not something that's easy, by the way, guys. It's not something like, hey, let me just wake up today and I'll just run with my current team. No, trust me, I tried that multiple times. I tried to convince them. I tried to entice them. I tried to give them whatever. And it's like, they just were not the type of people who were willing to run. And it's no knock on them. They just didn't want it as bad as me. So if you're not finding people who want it as bad as you, you're going to be held back because people are going to say that you're weird and awkward. And why are you talking about business all the time? And why is this happening, right? It's just what happens, because when you start to hang around with those people, you're going to feel like, oh man, maybe there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't found your team of people to run with where it feels totally normal. A little bit of a side note. I know a lot of you guys on YouTube, you guys know, there's a really powerful YouTuber, Mr. Beast. And one of the things that he did is he, in the beginning stages, is he found people, I think it was like 5 or 6 people, that he was going to run with every single day. Guys, I don't want to expect you to do this, but he was spending 16 hours a day having conversations with them, talking about thumbnails, talking about videos, talking about how he could reach more people, talking about how he could entice people to continue watching, and the hook. And they were like, let me tell you, like, their friends were like, what in the heck are you guys doing? It's crazy that you're doing that. But to them, it's like, this is what we do. We run together. And can I tell you that all of them have had massive success because they found people who are willing to run and wanted it just as bad as they do, right? Like I said, not because anybody else is better or worse than anybody else, but it's somebody is on your caliber and how bad you want it, that person wants it just as bad. It's a game changer when you're able to do that. Now, the third way that I see people mess this up is when they reach up is either they don't reach up at all and they're just like, hey, I'll just like figure this out on my own, which let me tell you from my own ego and issues, that has been the biggest thing for me. And I absolutely don't like to figure anything out on my own again. Anytime I'm like a new skill, I'm like, okay, who's the expert? Who do I need to pay? Who do I need to work one-on-one with? How can I like get into their room as fastly and quickly as possible? Because I want to learn that right now so I can start to implement it, right? So either they do that, they don't get anybody, or they think the people they reach out to are their mentors. They think the people that they're like actually reaching out to in their accountability group are the people that they're going to learn from. But if you're trying to learn from somebody who's at the same level as you, there is some learning there, but it's not to the level of growth that you need to grow. Because remember, if they would already have had what it is, the goal that you currently have, they would have already had it, right? If they knew what they needed to do and they knew all the steps it took, you'd be reaching up. You wouldn't be reaching out, right? And there's so much, like, when we think about this logically, it makes total sense that when we find somebody who's a few steps ahead of us and they have that thing that we want, there's just a different level of growth that they had to experience and go through to get there, that they can guide us through that process too. That's why thinking that your accountability partner is like reaching up is not the same. And finding and making sure that you're focusing on these 3 levels of reach is extremely critical. Now, we do know that it can sometimes be difficult to find all these 3 things, to get yourself to take the right actions, to get yourself to learn that new skill, to find a group of people who are willing to run. And it's not something that just comes out of blue. It's not something that just like all of a sudden lands on your lap. But one of the things that Teresa and I have been really focusing on, is, some of you guys know this, is it is a program that we call the Success Pod program. So if you're someone who's like, okay, I love all this, Mark, and I want to like go out and create like a group like this, I want you to go create it. Like, I think you can definitely do that 100%. And I want you to go out there and I want you to crush it. But some of you guys might be like, but I would really like this to actually be created for me. I want to make sure that I'm taking the right actions right now to build up massive momentum to 2024. I want to make sure that I'm learning the right skills that I need to learn in my business and in my life. And we're not just talking about business goals here. We're talking about personal and family goals as well. And I want to make sure that I'm in a team of people who actually want to run and get after it just as bad as I do. We want to let you know that we are literally created a program for you to be able to help bridge that gap and to find those people for you. It is called our Success Pod program. Now, some of you guys, Michelle is already a member of it. Some of you guys have maybe heard about this. This is something that we only used to do for our people in our Master Coaches in Training program. And we are now opening it up to everybody in our life coach certification, anybody who's ever gone through the Master Coach Training program, and anybody who's watching this on YouTube or on our email list, if you really want to crush your goals in 2024. Now, what I have to say about this is not just related to business. If you're looking just for business growth, this is not the program for you. We are a team that is not only interested in the growth and success of your business, but also the impact that you're going to make to your family, the creation of the legacy that you were truly designed to like connect with your family with. And also without having to burn yourself out or to like, burn yourself into the ground. We want to make sure you understand that if you join this group, not only will your business be growing, but you will also be more connected to your family and making sure that your health is your top priority. That's why we've literally created this group. We've actually been running it for about 1.5 years now. It's been behind the scenes, and it's something that Teresa and I have really been talking about a lot of, like, we need to release this to more people. But it's not one of those programs that we're going to give you a link and go buy, because if you've heard, the importance of who we find for the program is pivotal. Now you're going to see, I'm going to leave you this in the description below, but also I'll tag it inside of the video today. There's an application that you must fill out if this is something that you truly want to do. If you're ready to run, you're ready to find your team, you're ready to be mentored, not only by me, but also by Teresa on one-on-one calls, 1-on-3 calls with both me and her. It is a tremendous opportunity in order to have a group like this. And it's one of those things where when you find that group of people and you know you're taking the right actions, you're learning that next skill, you have access to a mentor who's a few steps ahead of you, it will truly be a game changer, not only in your self-confidence, but in the actions that you're taking. Michelle, I appreciate that. She says it's had a huge impact in all areas of my life since doing it. 100%. Michelle is a very, very incredible and powerful coach. And one of the things that I do want to call out too is a lot of times we have a lot of coaches who are in our Success Pod program. And you get to actually work with them as if they're your Success Pod or Success Accountability partners. And when you have somebody who is a coach as powerful as Michelle, as powerful as Trisha, it is a game changer when you have coaches within your accountability pod. Still doesn't mean that you shouldn't reach up. You should 100% reach up to people who are at that next level, which is why Teresa and I are in the program teaching, training, and really coaching you in a one-on-one capacity for about 20 minutes to help you identify the skills that you need to lean into, the activities to do, not only the accountability, but also like how to keep showing up, but not just showing up, but trying new things and finding your way to make sure that you're able to reach down to the right people, and you're reaching out because we put together a team that wants to run with you, and you're able to reach out because Teresa and I are there to help you and guide you along the way. Now, some of you guys don't necessarily know this. Maybe this is the first time you've ever seen Modern Leadership, but me being a full-time police officer and Teresa working for the corporate life, we found that we wanted to create a business that would allow us to separate from those things, because the police career and the weird hours and having to work all of the holidays and not being around for the kids, and Teresa, all the things that she was going through, trying to be the mom she wanted to be, and also try to do like 12-hour work days and driving to and from work, like that created a lot of stress on us. But we found through the process of not only connecting with the right people, taking actions now and not waiting, that we literally were able to retire from our careers early and become full-time coaches at home, because we put ourselves in this environment, because we focus on these 3 things. And these are 3 things that we want to pass off to you if you're ready and willing to take action. So if you are somebody and you want to apply to be a part of this, by the way, not everybody will be accepted for this. It has to be something that's related to not only your specific goals, but how fast you want to run. We want to make sure that we find and put together teams of powerful people who are willing to run. You can fill out an application at modernleadership.us/apply. There you go. Thank you, Kurt. So at modernleadership.us/apply. Whether you're somebody who's been in the Success Pod before and you want to get acclimated with the next round, or if you're somebody who this is the first time you've ever heard about it, we are going to be very protective of the people that we get in there. We're not going to break down how the investment works, how the program works, because it's irrelevant if you're not somebody who would be a good fit for the program. So fill out that information, whether you're a coach, whether you have a business owner, whether you're an entrepreneur, as long as you're willing to lean into not only your business goals, but also your personal goals related to your family and your relationship. This is really what we want to be able to do for you. We want to be able to help reach out, form those 3 levels of reach, and make sure that you're leaning in to take the right actions and to learn the next right skill. All right, Teresa, I did a whole bunch of talking. So I think it's your turn for a little bit. What did I miss?
That's okay. No, I think, Mark talked a lot about the accountability piece, right? And reaching out. And I think it's super important why we really want to find a cohort of people that will really vibe together. And like Mark said, having someone that's going to run with you, because, I'm sure many of you have experience finding other people when you're doing certain things or when you're trying to achieve something. Like, let's say, I remember when I used to do these fitness challenges, and I would get, a couple other people with me to literally run, right? Because we're like, okay, well, we're doing this running challenge for 30 days or whatever. And I remember, obviously, I worked my way up to that, because I was the person that was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But I worked my way up to, yes, I want this. I'm going to do it for 30 days. And I'm physically running, right? And I remember being dragged down by the people who were like, oh, life got in the way. Oh, sorry, I couldn't do it. Oh, this happened. And it's it's so frustrating and I mean, I understand life does happen, right? But when you're so gung-ho and so inspired to do something, and then you don't have that support, it's really deflating, right? I mean, if you're all in with it, you're going to run anyway, but wouldn't it be so much better to have other people that are like, yes, let's do this, and continue and be consistent, right? So that's why it's so important for us to be able to find the people that are really going to vibe together, that are really willing to work for what it is that they want, and they're going to be consistent with it. So that's why it's really important for us to do that, because we don't want to have people who it's imbalanced, right? Someone is super hyper and they really want it, but everybody else is kind of oh, yeah, I'll try it, right? No, we really want the pod to be successful, and we really want the best chance for you, right? Mm-hmm. So
And I mean, that brings up a couple awesome points. And that is the reason why this hasn't been something that we have talked a lot about is because it's a lot of work on our part, to be honest with you, because a lot of people do reach out and they say they want it. But when it comes to times to show up, we have to make sure that we find people who also want to show up just as much as you do. Because like Teresa said, if you find people who start using things outside of themselves, we call them excuses. Some people call them facts. Things when they occur outside and they translate it internally, it's very easy for the whole rest of the team to do that, which is why having a set of coaches, me and Teresa, there to help you and guide you, whether it's through Marco Polo and through our live calls, it's a game changer when you have somebody that's on your team for doing that. one of the things we're doing right now, kind of said it before with Danielle, is like we have a team right now that we're actually taking through the 75 hard program. And I got to say, like, it's day 5, day 6 today. And seeing the people in the app say this same exact thing of like, I would have never been able to like continue doing this on my own. I would have totally sabotaged myself. Like one of the people on our team was like, you know what, my husband knows that I'm doing this, and yet he put some candy in my luggage or my food when I brought it to work, and I found it. And she was like, and I decided not to eat it. Like, what would it have been like if she knew that everybody else was giving in? If she knew that she was doing this by herself, it would have been very easy for her to convince herself to just like fall off, to just like get back into her normal routines. But when you have a team of people who's going through it, a team of people who want to run with you, you are so much more capable of what you think you are. Like, we think of ourselves and we are like, you're only a fraction of your true potential of where you're showing up right now. And you need to find other people who can literally pull that out of you. And when you do that, you'll be amazed at what you have living on the inside. Josh always says, like, you have all the answers living on the inside of you. And I 1000% believe it, but it's not comfortable to be pushed to find those answers, to find that additional 1%, to get you to run a little faster, to take that next step, to see things a little bit differently than maybe you're seeing right now. But when you tap into that 1%, that's the thing that changes the game for you ever. Because that is all you need to tap into, to be different than everyone else, to stand out among the crowd, and to be the type of person that's like, I don't know what he or she is doing or selling, but I want to be a part of that because I can feel that energy. I could feel they're not like everyone else and they're willing to take action and model that behavior for me. It's so much easier for people to get behind you. That's why we literally put this together. But it's also something that, like we said, you have to apply for in order to see if you're going to be a good fit for the program. Now, if you have any questions about how it works, anything like that, we want you to apply and we'll reach out to you. It doesn't mean that you're going to have to sign up. We can break down all the details for you, but we're only going to share all those specific intricacies with people who apply for it, and we'll reach back out to you and have a conversation to see if this is a good fit. All right, Teresa, anything else? No. Okay, so guys, for those of you guys who have made it to the end here, I'm going to say that this is a sign that it's time for you to apply. Fill out the modernleadership.us, apply, because obviously you wouldn't be making it here if you were not interested in it. Love to hear from you. And I'll also leave you a video here at the end talking about the 75 hard and building mental toughness. Because one of the things that you do when you put yourself in an environment of doing hard things is you make yourself into the type of person who does hard things. You don't feel sorry for yourself. You know that change is hard. And when you're able to lean in and to take those actions, not only is that something that you will exponentially grow in when it comes to your personal life and to your health, but also for your business as well. Michelle said, when you get in a powerful group, you can use that energy to help propel your own energy to level up. 100%. When you don't feel like tapping in, when you feel like, man, it's just so much easier to take a step back. If you're in the room by yourself, it's so much easier to do that. But when you're around people who are willing to run, willing to grow, who are holding you accountable because you've got so much amazing potential inside of you, it will get you to reach levels that you never thought were possible. And it's always inside of you. It's just whether or not you're willing to have that conversation and to pull it out. So I appreciate you guys for not only being willing to like tap into what we talked about here today, applying to be a part of the team. But even if you decide not to join, follow these 3 things that we talked about. These are all the steps to take to make 2024 a year that's different than it's ever been. Because if you take a look at some of the things that you've done every year up to this, thinking about like, what can you do differently this year? It's jumping in, taking action now, learning that new skill, finding a team to run with, and leaning in right now on December 9th or whenever you're watching this video. Taking action, getting you to take that next step is exactly what the people in the world need right now, so that you can model that behavior and they can get behind you and you can ultimately be able to help impact their lives forever. Thank you for being willing to do that. Thank you for making it here. I appreciate you so much. Keep leading from the front, and we'll see you guys next Saturday. All right, bye everybody.